Hello, everyone. Sarah here. We're going to dive into a concept today that I have experienced myself, and I see far too many people continuing to suffer from. And that is the things that you say to you so that no one else can hurt you. The things that you say to yourself, the ways you are so mean to yourself, that you are so hard on yourself, and the reasons why. The things you say to yourself and the ways that you are so hard on yourself, so that when other people say mean and hurtful things to you and other people are hard on you, it doesn't match. It's not even in comparison to how mean you are to yourself and how hard you are on yourself. So therefore, it doesn't hurt as bad. It's a sense of maintaining control, a part of this illusion, what I call the illusion of the traumatized mind. We have this illusion and this perception that if we treat ourselves this way, but this is not a conscious thing that happens. It's such an unconscious thing. When we treat ourselves this way, then they can't hurt us as bad as we're already hurting. And so we unconsciously do this. We unconsciously and internally beat ourselves up more than we feel like we would allow them to beat ourselves up. Imagine if you've got a sibling or something and they're always picking on you. They're always beating you up. They're always hurting you. They can't hurt you more than you hurt yourself. Let's say you punch your leg 10 times and it hurts. It hurts really, really bad. But you know that every time they come and they're going to beat you up and hurt you, they're going to punch you 3 times and then you're going to scream and mom's going to step in the room and make them stop. And then they get 2 more punches in. Well, they punch you 5 times. Does that hurt? Absolutely. Yes, it hurts. But it doesn't hurt as bad as you're already hurting. Therefore, it doesn't hurt, or it doesn't hurt as bad. And we do this. We do this to ourselves when we've experienced past emotional neglect or past emotional abuse and trauma, when we've been in very toxic, very emotionally unavailable, very emotionally abusive relationships. It gives us this illusion and this sense of control. And we want that. We desire that. We strive for that because that sense of, or that perception of control is a sense of feeling safe and a sense of these parameters, like this box. At least I know where I am. I'm not out there. There's where it's boundaryless and boundless, and I don't know what's going to happen. At least in here, I know what's going to happen. So if I can control it, then I can feel safe in it. And this is such an unconscious thing that we do to ourselves, that we experience this illusion of control. And so we say the things to ourselves that are so mean and are so hurtful and so painful, so that when others say them to us, it doesn't hurt as bad. It's not as bad. But this is such a sticky and tricky place to be in, because you're constantly in a state of pain when you're in this place. And so many people do. So many people live with these very self-sabotaging habits and patterns and actions and behaviors. And the most self-sabotaging thing we can do is in the words that we use, is in the words that we choose. And the words that we use and choose come from the beliefs that we have about ourselves. And so on the outside, we may look like we're all put together and that we're perfect and that there's really nothing that we can't handle. But internally, it feels like our world is falling apart. And you see this all the time. There was just a sharing of a celebrity that was lost today by taking their own life. And everyone was like, oh my God, what do you mean? And it's like that every time. If I were, I mean, they had money, they had fame, they had fortune, they had everything. How is it that they weren't happy? It's easy to slap a smile on your face and live a fake life. And it's easy to get stuck in this state where you are more hurtful and harmful to you and the things that you say to you, in an effort to try and avoid experiencing the pain from being let down from others, especially when you're in a very toxic, volatile relationship and you know that you're going to be let down. And you know that you're going to experience the pain and the heartache and the heartbreak from being let down. So in an effort to try and soften the blow, you're meaner to yourself than they could ever be to you. And this is that really rock in a hard place, and there you are stuck and squeezed and wedged in the middle. The things that you say to yourself so that no one else can hurt you more than you're already hurting is an effort of protection. It's a coping mechanism. It's a defense mechanism. It's an indication that you've got inner unhealed beliefs that need shifting, transforming, and changing, wounds that need your attending and healing. But so many people are afraid to relinquish control. And if I can at least control what I say to myself, if I can at least control this feeling I've become so accustomed to and familiar with, then maybe it won't hurt so bad when I get close to others and something happens that causes pain. And this comes up a lot in my work with people. But what happens is this gives you this false sense of control, this perception of control, an illusion of control, but in reality it's not control, but you think you're controlling it. You think you got a meter or a gauge on the pain that you get to experience. Like you can control the dial, the pain dial and the pain meter. And someone who's experienced past emotional trauma, abuse, and neglect has had so many experiences of not being in control. And so now, in an effort to avoid experiencing lack of control or the pain from not being in control, you internally and inevitably unconsciously hurt yourself more than anyone else could ever hurt you, to try and be the one that gauges and controls the gauge and the meter of pain and heartache and heartbreak. But this leads to altering. It leads to manipulation in relationships. So it leads to unhappiness and dissatisfaction in relationships, because you're trying to now to control everything that you say, or trying to control what others say to you, and trying to get them to say things to you in a certain or in a particular way, because you get caught in this cycle. So you will say things in a way that you receive empathy and you receive sympathy and you receive connection from other people. You'll say things in a way that gets them to go, oh my God, come here, let me help you out, let me do that for you, because you know that they'll feel bad for you. And you may not do this consciously. This may not be something that you even like that you do or want to do, but you may notice that you do it, because when you're coming from this inner place of these deeply wounded beliefs and limiting beliefs and very negative beliefs about yourself, you're trying to get out of the pain. And in that, a lot of times you talk about the pain that you're in to try and experience some relief from being in it. But that it goes another direction a lot of times. And a lot of times you can catch yourself and become aware of this and then feel really bad and feel really guilty, because you receive the compassion, you receive the empathy, you receive the support, the connection, the sympathy, you get things done for you, but then you feel bad about it and you wonder and question, what's going on? Why do I feel this way? Why do I feel so bad? Why do I feel guilty? Why do I feel like I didn't deserve them to love on me and to connect with me and to support me and see me? I feel like they did, but now I feel bad for it and I don't understand this. And so we get caught up in a lot of these emotions and feelings a lot of times when this happens. And to really deeply understand it, you've got to get to what's going on unconsciously and internally. And a lot of times there's this internal game of manipulation, because it's one that you're so familiar with being played with you. And now you play it with yourself and you play it with others, even though you don't want to, and you don't like the way it feels when you do. So for example, if you find yourself telling your story of your relationship of trauma, even though you're over it, but you tell people because they ask about you and they're like, okay, I feel you, right? And you're feeling off when they feel you, because they're saying, oh, I feel you, I get you, I understand you, I feel bad for you and everything that you've been through, everything you've gone through. But you're also getting this, oh my God, look at you, I don't know how you ever made it through that. I don't know what I would have done if I were in your shoes. Look how far you've come. So you're feeling bad, but you're also feeling good because you're feeling connected. So there's this disconnect of where you are and where you want to be and the reason why you're telling your story. So sometimes we find that we get caught in this manipulation web and we don't want to be, we don't know how we came to be. But this way of being becomes a way of receiving external validation. And we don't believe we're worthy or we're deserving of receiving validation, or we don't allow ourselves to receive it internally from ourselves. And so we will say things or do things in a way that gets us into a position where we can receive it externally. But external validation doesn't necessarily fill the validation cup, because there's a separate space where internal validation can be received and external validation cannot be poured into the internal validation cup. They're two different things. And when you try to fill the internal validation cup by saying, well, look, it's validation, but it really came from a different place, a different source, it's external. It's as if you're trying to put it in there to fill that internal validation cup so you feel good and you can just feel safe to trust and safe to connect without needing to use the story of trauma or the story of your past to do that, without needing to use manipulation. You can just be. There's a sense and an energy of, I don't feel safe to be, and so I can only be through this measure. I can only be this way. And in that, I'm trying to get the external validation cup to fill the internal validation cup. And the internal validation police are like, no, that does not go there. Hark, halt, that cannot go in there. It just doesn't work like that. And so you're left receiving external validation, but left feeling empty in the internal validation space. And so you still feel off. So this is heavy, this is empty. And there was a lot of manipulation and feelings of like, what just happened? Why do I feel this way in that space? So if you've ever found yourself talking to someone about what you're going through and you've found yourself feeling confused, why did I say that? I really didn't mean to say that. I really didn't want to say it that way. I thought I was over it. I guess I'm not. Maybe I'm not. I don't know what to do. I'm feeling so confused, because when you reflect back on the conversation in an effort to try and figure out why you feel this way and to really sit with your feelings and figure out what it is that's going on because something feels off, you may find that you reflect back on the conversation and think, my God, like, ugh, why did I even say that? That's actually not what I meant. And that's actually not even really what's going on. I don't know why I said it like that. And then you may find that you tell yourself horrible things. You say the meanest things to yourself about who you are and about what you're like. You might think, it's like, I'm such an idiot. My God, I always do this. What is wrong with me? Why do you always do that? They probably saw right through that. And they're probably never going to talk to you ever again. They're probably never going to call you back. They probably don't want to be your friend anymore. And then you may find that you start to go down this rabbit hole of feeling anxious and panicked. And then you message them, hey, I had a great time. It was so fun catching up. And then they're silent. And then you can't sleep that night because you're like, oh my God, see, they totally knew it. And then you just go in this downward spiral in this rabbit hole of anxiety and disconnection and thinking, my God, what's wrong? And then you can't sleep at night. And then you find that you're calling them the next day. Hey, I'm just wondering if you got my message. Or maybe you don't do that because you're ashamed and you wish that you could like unsend or delete, but you already saw that it was seen. And you just feel, what is wrong with me? And so if you find that you do this, I'm not sharing this so that you'll call yourself out publicly here, but just sit with this and understand what is really going on is that there's inner unhealed wounds and there are beliefs that are jaded and very distorted, very lacking, very limiting, very negative that you have about yourself that are calling out to you. When you become aware of this, when you recognize this, and when you see this, it's because there's something there for you. You don't see anything that you're not ready to see. We may think, oh, I'm not ready to deal with that yet, but you really are if you're experiencing this. So you don't need to share your story in the comments. Just sit with this and recognize that this is an indication that there are more inner beliefs that need shifting, that need your awareness, that need you to see them, to be with them, to shift them, to help guide them in the right direction, to transform them from what they currently are to where you desire to be. Because if there's an inner desire within you to be different, to stop doing that, and to really have true, genuine, deep, loving connection and relationship with yourself and with other people, you need to go even deeper into that within yourself. And a lot of people find, I feel like I'm the narcissist, or I feel like I'm the one that's messed up, because this is also a tactic that narcissists use. This is a tactic that people with inner unhealed wounds will use, and they use it, but they don't know they're using it. They're not very conscious of it. They're not aware of the fact that they're doing it. Do narcissists know they're hurting people? Yes. Do they care? No. And this is an unconscious process that happens, that they'll tell their victim story, and they come from this place. And you may think, no, I'm over the victim story. I've done a lot of healing. I'm not doing that. That's not my intention. That's actually not what I'm doing. I'm just sharing, I'm connecting. But if you feel energetically disconnected and emotionally off, like this is full, but this is empty, and I don't get it because I thought I was just sharing about who I am and what I've been through, got to take a look at the reason why. Is there still a belief that you're not enough? Is there a belief that if you are detached energetically and emotionally and spiritually and mentally from this story, that you have nothing left, that you don't have this hero's journey story of look at where I've come and look at what I've been through? So it's sitting with it and seeing what's there. And more than that, deeper than that, seeing what's going on at the subconscious level, seeing what the inner, internal, unconscious beliefs that you have about yourself are that have you do the things that you don't want to do or wish you didn't and don't know how to stop doing. So if that's where you're at and you're beating yourself up more than other people can beat you up, and you find that you are actually meaner to yourself than anyone else could ever be to you, and you know that because you live with the voice inside your head, you're with it 24/7, and you hear what it says, and you recognize and realize how awful and how mean and how hurtful and how painful that inner voice and that inner dialogue is to you on a daily basis. And it prevents you from living the life that you want to live. It prevents you from doing the things that you want to do. It steps in, it self-sabotages you, it blocks you from experiencing peace and happiness and true, pure, safe, genuine, loving connection. And it causes you to procrastinate and put things off and delay things, or pretend that nothing is going on and feel like you're a fake and you're a fraud, and then prevents you from feeling safe to open up and connect with anyone because you don't want them to really know what's going on within you. Then there's just more inner work to do. And there are unconscious beliefs that are fighting against that, that are making it feel a lot more difficult than it should be. So when you're ready to completely transform and shift and change that, I would love to be a part of that. If you feel in alignment with this, and if this message has landed with you and you've received it in a way that has opened up something and made you become aware that there is more inner work to do and you're ready to do it, then I'd love to see if we're a good fit to work together. So you can find out more information on how I work with people using the power of your unconscious mind to completely shift and heal and transform those inner unconscious beliefs so that you can get in alignment with this, so that you can be the most kind, caring, loving, compassionate, supportive person to yourself and stop beating yourself up, all in the name of protection, because that's not protection. It's not the kind of protection that you want. Protection of feeling safe and trusting and supporting yourself internally when they're in alignment with your unconscious beliefs is the most powerful, beautiful, incredible kind of protection. So that is the protection that I stand for, and that is the protection that I desire for you to experience as well. It's far better than the other illusion of protection. So love you guys, sending you so much love and support wherever you're at along this journey called life. So again, just reach out. You can find more information using the links below. Love you. Bye for now.